Okay. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to our Monday night Zoom presentation. We're excited to have everybody on board tonight. We really have a treat in store for you. We have several really incredible speakers, Steve Leathers, Jennifer Allen, and maybe a special guest star at the very end. So hang in there till the very end because you're going to have a special treat, I think, tonight. And we'll have our normal Q&A after the presentation, after the primary presentation is completed. But we welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. One of my favorite motivational speakers ever in the history of the planet, Zig Ziglar, said once, he said, you'll have everything you want in life if you can just help enough other people get what they want. And really, that's the number one thing about this business opportunity that you're going to see tonight, is that's what we are doing. As a team of business owners working together, we're helping other people achieve success and achieve their dreams. And that's really what we're doing. And very honestly, Steve Leathers, my good friend, business partner, Steve and I have known each other for many years now. Oh gosh, probably going on 25, 30 years. And what's really funny is we were born in the same little town in southeast Iowa, Fairfield, Iowa. I mean, I honestly, I've never accidentally run into anybody else born in Fairfield, Iowa. And then the idea that here's my friend and business partner and somebody that we love and really respect and care about, Steve Leathers, who was born in the same little bitty hometown that I came from, and my dad came from, and I think his parents came from. So it's a small world sometimes, don't you think? But the bottom line about what you're going to see tonight is it's a vehicle to increase health, wealth, and security. It's an honest-to-gosh business, and the people that I know that are in business or are supervise or manage large groups of people, so far the people that really understand this business that are in that world, they'll tell you that their favorite opportunity that they've ever seen been involved in is the one you're going to be looking at tonight. So without really taking any more time, I'm going to introduce you. He may need to adjust my desk because he's here with me, but I'm going to introduce a very successful man in his own right in his daytime businesses that he's been involved in over the years. I'll just say he'll probably talk more about this as the meeting progresses, but he's built businesses to the point where he's been a multi-millionaire a couple times, and then something's happened, some circumstances have occurred, and he wasn't a millionaire anymore. And life happens. It has a way to go up and down. One of the neat things about this opportunity that you're going to understand is it built into it is a way to secure an ongoing income. So once you create it, nobody's going to be able to take it away from you. That's pretty exciting. I know it excites my friend Steve. And so without further ado, I want him to get right to the point and be able to show you this amazing opportunity. So folks, here's Steve Leathers. I'm going to get it from my chair. Let Steve sit down and we'll adjust things so he's in the right spot. And we may need to adjust down the desk a little bit. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Can you do some more?
Yeah. Can I go down a little bit more?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jeff. Actually, I can hardly wait to hear what I have to say. and that's kind of funny, except it's real, because we spent some time with some of the people who are really, really successful at doing what we do. And every time I do that, I just learn so much. I'm always surprised at the new perspectives that we get. There's so many details to what we do, and yet what we do is so very simple that it's easy if you want it to be easy. What we're going to talk about tonight really is a new kind of income. It's something that you probably haven't really thought about. You are aware of temporary income, okay? You probably never thought about it. I mentioned it to a guy that I was talking to a couple of days ago about his temporary income. He says, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, you got this job here at Home Depot. You don't show up tomorrow, they're not going to pay you. You don't show up again, they're going to quit paying you. This whole thing is temporary, don't you see?" And I think it just shocked him to realize that his whole deal was temporary. There's so many things that are temporary, and I've probably done most of them. I got some notes here, and I can hardly read them. Let's see. But they all end for a whole lot of reasons. And one of the things that I noticed on most of these temporary things is that who decides how much you make anyway? Who decides when you get a raise and how big a raise that you get? It isn't usually you. It's somebody else that controls you. You look like a puppet. Go over here, go over there. What we're going to talk about tonight is what I call permanent income. I like to label it passive income. Okay? I like that idea because the temporary income is really an active income. You have to keep doing it and getting paid and doing it and getting paid. If you can create a permanent income, then maybe you don't have to keep doing it. I like that, and there are some examples that of permanent incomes, sort of. It depends on what you believe. Social Security, okay. For the moment, it's supposed to be permanent, right? Yeah. Pensions, annuities, royalties. A guy writes a book, and if it's successful, they just keep on paying him. He doesn't have to rewrite the book again. See, he created a permanent income there. And at that point, then, who decides when you get a raise? Well, you do. Okay. I'll give you a couple of statistics that I think are really sad. And I only kind of appreciate these, probably because I'm so old. But 80% of people out there believe that when they retire, they're going to have a better lifestyle. Now, I don't get the logic of that. So you quit your job, and you're going to live on less than you were making before, but you're going to have a better lifestyle. Does that make sense to anybody? See, worse yet, 80%, probably the same 80% of those over 65 cannot write a $600 check. Now, that says to me anything goes wrong, they're in trouble. That's just really sad. What people don't realize is that retirement is not a function of age. It's a function of income. You could retire at 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, if you have the income. And if you wanted to retire. Or maybe you just keep doing the things that you want to do because you can do them for no income because you've got something permanent going on. See, what if you had a permanent income? What would you do? Where would you give yourself a raise? I want you to think of this example. Where you are right now, if your boss came along and said to you, you know what, we need just a little bit more effort here. I don't want to hire another person. If you'll work another 5 hours a week, I'll pay you another $500 a month. Now, that's kind of a reasonable idea, right? Instead of hiring another employee. Well, what would you do? Would you do it? And what would you do with the $500 a month? I mean, what would be enough something for you to get out of it that you'd be willing to do it? You see, $500 a month. Would that be a new car? Maybe just be a car that runs, right? Maybe braces for the kids' teeth. Maybe better vacations. Maybe a new rifle. Maybe a cruise. Movies, entertainment. Maybe that new Harley that you've been looking at. Maybe a new boat. You see, what would you do with that $500? It's a lot of things, and I'm always surprised when I think about it. It's like $500. Yeah, that means something to me. And I've seen big money and small money, and yet $500. That's just interesting. But what if the boss came along and said, instead, would you work an extra 10 hours a week? Now, let's put that in perspective. 5 hours a week was like 1 extra hour a day. You'd hardly even know you did it. Now you're talking about 2 hours a day. Would you work an extra 10 hours a week, and I'll pay you an extra $1,000 a month? Now we're starting to talk, I think, more enticing money. $1,000, what would you do with it, and why would you do it? I know you wouldn't do it unless you had something to do with the money, right? Would you be in a different home? Would you put in a swimming pool? Maybe a cabin in the mountains? How about a motorhome? How about money for the college that your kids want to go to, not just the one that you can afford to send them to? How about a cabin in the mountains? How about just paying off your credit cards? I know people who've got $30,000, $40,000 in credit card debt. I heard somebody say the other day, if you took your credit card debt and amortized it, paid just exactly the payment that they've got on there, it would take you 30 years to pay that off. Now, can you imagine that? That little minimum payment going on for 30 years because you bought a TV 30 years back or something. I can't see that. But if you could pay off your credit cards, maybe that'd be worth the extra 10 hours a week. Now, see, if you were willing to do that for your boss for that kind of money, would you be willing to do that for yourself? If the answer is yes, then I'm talking to the right people. If the answer is no, then it doesn't really make any difference what you hear, because it's like anything else. If you're going to make something succeed, you're going to have to work at it. You agree? You're going to have to work at it. But it's all just a decision away. 5 hours a week working for yourself, you know, being your own boss, and since I've always been my own boss, is really a trip, because you can either be your best employee or your worst. You know, well, it's true, isn't it, Jeff?
Sure.
Yeah. When I'm working from home, like I've done a lot in the last 10 years, it's like, there's the refrigerator. You know, oh, I can take another break. Nobody will know. And eventually you don't really get all the things done you want to do. So I have to set up myself a little schedule. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get this. I'm going to set up that goal. But it's just a decision away. Have you heard the phrase, survival is made full-time and lifestyle is made part-time? Right now you're in survival mode, I'll bet. Most everybody I know is. Matter of fact, most of the people that I know are in less than survival mode. They're adding debt as they go along because they're putting stuff on their credit cards. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. And I'm not saying this to brag. I just want you to get a feeling for exactly where we are right now and why I'm so excited about it. I went to Mesa High School, graduated, did okay. Went to ASU, really only went because my folks wanted me to go. I didn't really see the point in college because I didn't get any counseling. I didn't know anything about any career out there. I wasn't excited about doing anything. So going to college made no difference. But I went to college, had a couple of scholarships. The problem was I didn't know what I should be studying. So I, of course, did some things that I like to do. I took math, I took physics, you know, I love science. And so finally ended up at the point of graduating. And that was when it really hit me, because it was like walking up to the edge of a cliff and looking out in the darkness and saying, now what? Because I had these 2 degrees which were worthless. I mean, they're worth nothing to me. I had no idea how to use them to make an income. And so there I was. It's like, okay, Mom and Dad, I got you what you want. Now what do I do for the rest of my life? Right? Well, get a job. Okay. I didn't want to do that. I just knew that I didn't want to be an employee. So one of the smartest things that I ever did is I went out and interviewed people who were very successful. Okay. I didn't interview the guy that failed at medical school. I interviewed the guy that made it and had a great practice and looked like he was making a lot of money, or the, you know, different business people. And what I noticed, I really only had 2 questions to ask them. Number 1, would you do it again? And number 2, did he get you the lifestyle you wanted? Because isn't that really what you want when you go get a job or you go create an income? What was amazing to me is how many of those people, doctors included, said, no, I wouldn't do it again. I would do this instead, or I would do that instead. And then I ran into a guy who was a general contractor. His name was Fred Ferencamp. And I had met this guy before. I had actually worked for him a little bit during the summer when I was in high school as a trim carpenter. And he said to me, yeah, I would do it again. And I didn't have to ask him about his lifestyle, because I was sitting in this huge, beautiful home in the middle of a subdivision that he had developed and built all the homes in. And Fred looked pretty darn relaxed. You know, I could see Fred didn't have a lot of stress. So the answer there, of course, was yes, he was getting the lifestyle. And that just hit me. Okay, here's the guy. And then Fred did something absolutely amazing. And I think he did it because he liked my dad. My dad had got me this appointment, and I think that's why he did it. But he said to me, you know what? I'll make you a list. I will write down for you exactly how to get from where you are to where I am. Now, that's the one time, except for what I'm going to talk about, that anybody has ever offered to help me. I'll write you a list. He says, now, this is going to be difficult. You know, you're going to have to do these things. You're going to fail a lot. Basically, he said you're going to fail your way to success. There's going to be a lot of pain involved. You know what? There was a lot of pain involved going to college. It wasn't there. It was for me. Shoot, I could hardly remember where my classroom was. You know, he said there's going to be a lot of pain involved, and there was. a lot of failing over the first year, over the second year. By the time I was into the third year of it, I had gotten into and successful at some of the activities that he told me I needed to get good at. And I was starting to sell a house. Oh, golly. Every like 10 days, I was selling a custom home, designing and selling. Within the next couple of years, I was designing and selling a custom home pretty much every other day, maybe more often. We were just selling a lot of houses. I mean, at that point, I had a lot of realtors working for me, a huge staff of superintendents and secretaries and bookkeepers and stuff. I was the largest custom home builder in East Valley. By the time I was 28, I was a multi-millionaire. Now, I don't say that to brag. I just say that to say, thank you, Fred. You know, really, that's what it was about writing me this list. The only guy that ever set out and said, here's exactly how to do it. And then, you know, told me about the pain and expect it and just get through it. Okay. Well, the reason I tell you that whole story is because it's happening again right now. There are some guys that got together, some guys with collectively hundreds of years worth of experience, and they wrote it down. And they've come to us and said, here's a vehicle, and if you take this vehicle and you use this list, you can get from where you are to where we are. I mean, they're basically saying exactly the same thing. Matter of fact, I listened to a tape that one of them did just today, and he said the exact same thing that Fred said. He said, you're going to fail your way to success. Okay, I'm okay as long as the success is there. You know, failure is the way we learn, the way we get stronger, right? And that's what they said. So they just took it and created something that you could do part-time, that you could work as much as you wanted to. Could be an hour a week, 10 hours a week. Okay, and what we're really doing is we're creating what we like to call channels of commerce. Now, I personally like the idea of a pipeline better, because I can picture that. You know, I just picture this big pipeline coming from Alaska, let's say down to all these refineries. Now, if the pipeline came from, let's say, Arizona to Texas, it'd be worth a certain amount, you know, a certain amount if there was oil in Arizona. There'd just be a certain amount of oil that would come through it. Wouldn't be nearly as valuable as, say, a pipeline that went another couple of thousand miles or up into Alaska or whatever. And that's kind of how this works. We're building these channels of commerce, and the longer these channels get, the bigger your income gets. And the bigger your income gets, the more permanent it becomes. In the beginning, it's going to feel a whole lot like a job, but you're working for yourself. But after you work at it a while and you get through some of the failures and you get the successes coming and they start coming faster and faster, pretty soon it's like you become invisible to your business and the income turns permanent. And you go out and do whatever you want to. See, I'd like to own a pipeline, but I don't have the money to own a pipeline, not anymore, you know. But I do have the will to go out and create a pipeline of commerce. A pipeline where products go down through this pipeline and money comes back up. And the more you've helped to build that pipeline, the more you've created, the longer you've made that pipeline, the more products go down, the more money comes back up, the bigger your income is. So I'd like to kind of talk about that. So here we go. This whole program is done basically by referral. Now, I like that because I got myself a little job at Home Depot, right? What I wanted was something that didn't pay very much, and that's what I got. Okay, because I figured that would be really motivating, and it is. It's motivating because people, honest to goodness, I feel like people come in there and look down at us because they think we're paid $10 an hour. Now, I'm paid more than that, but it's still pretty marginal. So I see these people that work there at Home Depot, they're working around me, and there's some of those people that, you know what, I don't think if I spent the rest of my life trying to help them, I could help them. I mean, it's like they can't think outside of the box. They wouldn't understand what I'm even talking about. Yet there are people there that are very sharp. They're very sharp. I would take those people and refer them into my channel of commerce. And some of them will say yes, and some of them will say no. But this program that you're looking at here, this limited referral, you know some big businesses that have been built. Netflix and DirecTV and Uber built on limited referrals. And the reason I say limited is because you're paid for the first time that those people take a ride in Uber, or the first month they're hooked up to DirecTV. And then after that, and they've got a free customer. They might stay on DirecTV for the next 10 years. You got a little bit the first month. That's pretty limited, I say. They generate billions of dollars of revenue. Uber, you know how successful that's become, how quickly, and yet it's all a limited referral. What we're doing is we're building on an unlimited referral program. You start a pipeline, you start a channel of commerce, and everything month after month after month, year after year, it goes down, and the money that comes back up, you're getting a piece of that. Now, I like that. I like that a lot. That I've heard people call it a residual income. I like calling it a passive income because at some point it is passive. It's permanent. And so we're doing this with an unlimited referral. You refer somebody in that system, and if they're in that system for the rest of their lives, you're getting a little tiny piece of all the volume that their household did. I think that's pretty neat. We do it with 3 companies, and you kind of see up there in the upper right, which got that little circle. The 3 companies are called AVISAE and BOSS and Legacy. And these 3 companies have come together, were created for the express purpose of making this particular thing happen. And by the way, what you're about to see here, this is the first time that this has ever been done this way. And I think that's exciting too. So talk a little bit about AVISAE here. AVISAE is really neat. They're committed to the best of the best, and yet reducing the cost of the best. Their goal is to have 1,000 products go down through this channel. Right now, they haven't. They've got some very, very special products that I really like, because they're dealing right now. I call it an anti-aging company. That's probably not really true. I'm just hoping I'm looking younger. You know, it's, it's kind of how it goes. But they've got some very special things that we're seeing a lot of people really get the benefit of. I mean, we tell stories after stories. But their goal, you see that 2 little triangles up there, is to reduce the cost of the best and increase the value. So their products aren't set to compete with Walmart. They've got a great shampoo. You're not going to get 5 gallons for $2 like maybe at Walmart, okay? But you're going to get a shampoo that's not going to take the color out of your hair. I wish it would take the gray out. You're going to get some stuff that's really good. And so they've got Nobel Prize winning science in their products. I like that. Every time they bring out a new product, I'm more impressed than with the last one. I'll just show you a little bit of it here. They've got what I call 2 different cycles of products. They've got some that basically are from the inside out, stuff that you put in your mouth that helps you. Okay, you can start on the left side there. Balance, hydration, just makes it better for you to be able to stay hydrated. But when you're more hydrated, oh yeah, that's my friend Jeff. When you're hydrated, your body apparently does better. I didn't really know that, but I've heard story after story about people who don't have leg cramps and all this other stuff because they're hydrated a little bit better. Then we've got Activate, which is all of this stuff is neat. That little weight loss bottle there, I've seen all kinds of stuff happen from people who are using the weight loss. One of my favorite is the anti-aging. They actually sent this product to Brunswick Labs, and Brunswick Labs tested it and said, you know what? This product has more antioxidants in it than anything we've ever tested. That's pretty neat. Joint relief. I don't sell these products, by the way, and I'm not looking for somebody to sell these products. I'm looking for people to build channels, but you can't help but sell it when somebody says, or you see somebody that they're like bent over and they can hardly move, and you say, well, I got some stuff, try this, and pretty soon they're walking straighter and they're feeling better. You know, they're going to keep wanting to buy that, aren't they? Then there's Torch. I love the Torch. Torch. Okay. I take a can of Torch with me to work because it's about the only way I think I can survive through 8 hours of that. You know, but it keeps my energy level going, and yet it's a natural product. I would love to see Torch. People who are thinking are going to replace Red Bull. They're going to replace, what's that other one? Monster. I've heard so many stories of people getting heart attacks from drinking those things. Torch isn't going to do that. It's all natural. And then that meal replacement, that's just a part of the thing with the weight loss program. Neat stuff. I hate cooking. Most people know that. I don't have the patience to cook. So when I come home at night, I get there, I feed the dogs, I feed the cat, I make a meal replacement, and it's like, okay, I have enough patience to spend 30 seconds to make the meal replacement. Other than that, well, after that, I'm a little bit more satisfied. I just feel better, and then I can go get something else to eat with it. Then from the, where's my arrow? Come on. I'm trying to get to the next slide.
You have to click on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then this is from the outside in. Now, I laughed at this, honestly, the first time I saw this stuff. It's like, who cares? You know? And then I realized, of course, the ladies would care a great deal. And then I heard stories about some of the guys using some of this stuff. And I started thinking, you know what? Why don't I just open my mind and think a little bit about this? And now when people ask me, what's your favorite product? Well, I have to be straight with them and tell them, well, you know, it's the Revitalize. I put that on in the morning, and honestly, my skin feels better. Now, that probably sounds ridiculous coming from a guy, but it just feels better. And you know what? I've had people telling me over the last, I keep looking that way, that's where Jeff is. I've had people telling me that I look younger. I like that part. So I like using that. I like using a little refine there. They're just great products. If you get to hear the stories on what these things do, I think I'm looking younger. I know I'm feeling better. So that's part of their products. They've come out with a new line now that's called Love Your Gut, and I don't have a slide on that, but we're hearing incredible results of what's happening with people's digestive system. This is BOSS. This is the second company in that circle. This is an educational system. Now, I saw this and I thought, wow, it's college all over again. Except, you know what? We got better professors here because we have professors who actually have been out and done it. Now, I'm not putting down the guys that I heard at ASU, but, you know, I got the feeling that those guys had never gone out and done what they were trying to teach about. These guys have gone out and done it. CDs and events and books and all kinds of things to help you understand. This is part of that list that I'm talking about. They made this list and said, if you will do these things right here, this is going to give you the education you need in order to go out. See, what Fred said to me, one of the things I had to do is I needed to go out and study, and I needed to become an architect. Now, I needed to be able to design these houses. That's exactly what's going on here. You need to be able to design the way that you talk to people and the way that you think. And that's what this is all about, because how you think is how you're going to do. It's going to determine what you do, what your activity is going to be, and how successful you're going to be. And that's what the BOSS system is all about. And then there's legacy. Now, legacy is really interesting in that there are people involved with legacy who are in control of billions of dollars on Wall Street. And I don't know how they got talked into doing this, but I'm excited that they did, because we get to earn legacy shares by some of the success we create. And those shares at some point are going to be worth a lot of money. They're not yet, because we're just basically ground floor. We're getting started. But at some point, they're going to be worth a lot of money. I don't think we're ever going to sell the shares, but I do think that we're going to get some pretty big dividends. I've heard some very interesting numbers. But better than that, I'll tell you another story, I guess. Jeff alluded to the fact that I was a millionaire a couple of times. Actually, it was 3 times. And lost it all 3 times because I didn't know what to invest in. Now, I don't tell you that to feel sorry for me, because I don't feel sorry for me. I mean, the opportunity here is greater than anything I ever did, okay? But I didn't know how to invest it, so I invested it each time in the wrong thing. The very last time, I thought I was really smart. I invested it all in land. Do you remember what happened to land in 2005? Everybody that I knew that was doing the same thing I did lost tens of millions of dollars because land collapsed. Well, okay, that's the way it went. These guys know exactly what we should be investing in, because that's what they do on a regular basis. They help us to be sure that the money we make actually makes us money, instead of going down a rat hole somewhere. And then, this is the board. Okay, you see those people around there? There is a real board that controls and advises exactly what those 3 companies do. And I like that because we trust us. You'll hear that from some of the independent business owners. We trust us. They're not going to make a decision that's going to hurt our business because it would hurt their business. They're not going to do that. And so it's a little bit like the board is controlling everything that's going on there, making the decisions so that every time something gets changed, it just makes us more money. And they did change a couple of things just recently and put more money in. I like that. So that's the board. Okay, so there it is, kind of a picture. AVISAE, boss, legacy down there at the bottom, the AVISAE Business Owners Association around it. Got a few numbers on this slide that I think are kind of interesting. You know, people tend to think the people with all the money, the people who are the millionaires, they're all athletes and they're entertainers and they're, you know, those kind of people. And I think there's some truth to that because they make so much money. Some football player gets paid $50 million to you know, play a game every now and then, kind of thing. But when you look at the real numbers, only 1% of the people, the richest 1%, are athletes and entertainers. Look down in the bottom right there, 74% are business owners. You see here, you own your own business. This is your business. Okay, you control it. You can make it work as fast or as slow as you want it to. You can make it make as much money you want to. You can make it get to permanent as quickly as you want to. Business owners. Okay. Let's talk about creating channels of commerce. Imagine creating 3 channels, 3 pipelines. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to leverage your assets. Okay, well, what are your assets? Your assets, of course, are what we know, us, okay, and the people who are mentoring us, which is kind of exciting. Jeff, for instance, is one of my mentors. I find that pretty exciting. Rob Terrell, who may be on here later, is one of my mentors. I would trust these guys with everything I own because I know where their hearts are, okay? So part of your assets are what we know, and part of your assets are who you know, because you know people that we don't know. You know people who are out there probably praying for something, praying for something to come along to be better in their lives. When I started at Home Depot, which is before I got involved with this program here, I was walking around the store one day. I had this job where I walk around the store all day and just talk to people and solve their problems, and I'd walk about 10 miles a day in the store. And there was this really old guy. I mean, he was really old. He had to be like, 150. And he would take those real short steps, like Tim Conway used to do. And he would go out and do his job. And they finally forced him to retire. Probably a good thing because, honestly, I thought any moment he was going to have a heart attack, like right there on the floor. And then I realized, 10 years from now, that was me. I'm going to have a heart attack right there on the floor. I didn't want that to happen, So I needed a plan B. And all of a sudden, I prayed into a plan B. And of course, this is it. So we're going to create 3 channels of commerce. And the longer we can get these channels, the more money it's going to make you. Okay? So let's kind of start out. Whoops. Oh, sorry, wrong button. Okay. Let's imagine that's you. Jennifer, let's say that's you. Okay? You decide that you like this program, you want to be a part of it. You know some people that we don't know, probably 1,000 people that we don't know. Okay, but there's you. So what are we going to do? We're going to help you to share this idea, this program with some other people. There's a doctor you know, right? Do you know there are more doctors involved in this than you probably imagined? There's a nurse you know. There's a teacher that you know, okay? What happens is each time you enroll one of these people and start to create your pipeline, you get paid a $150 launch bonus. I'll tell you in a minute where it comes from, but you get paid $150 launch bonus for each one of those 3. So you're up at $450. But when you've enrolled your 3rd one, what's going to happen is they're going to give you another $150 so that you've got $600. Now, the reason you want that, and the reason we want to do it quickly, is because there are a number of different launch kits. One of them is the cost is about $600. So if you did that launch kit at $600 and got your money back in a month, I would say that certainly beats some of the investments I did. Gosh, when I was 21, I took $9,000. I can't remember how I got the $9,000. And I always bought land on options. So I bought, I think it was a dozen lots on options. I had deadlines. Went out and sold houses on those, and then optioned some more and some more. I remember the biggest one that I ever did, 144 lots, and I had to pay off 12 lots a month. Jeez. Now that's a trick when you think of it, right? But it cost me $1 million in cash to get into that option. Okay, so we were working pretty hard at selling houses and like that. Yeah, I got my $1 million back. It took me 3 years to get that back, and then to make the profit on it. We made some great money, but for a while that $1 million was just like hanging out there. It's, okay, if anything, if we had gotten the wrong president elected at that point, we'd have been trash, So, and that happened to be during the point when interest rates on homes was like 17.9%. Try selling anything, let alone 12 of them a month, at 17.9%. So, we did what we did pretty well. But there you are, $600. Let's imagine that that's what it cost you. So you see, you can enroll in this program for $50. Now, that's really not a smart thing to do. It's not smart at all, because all you do is get enrolled. You don't get any idea about the products. You don't get any idea about the stuff coming down from boss. All you know is you got your name on a piece of paper. You don't really know anything about it. I'll show you some other kits in a minute. But let's say that we take this doctor, this nurse, and this teacher, and what are we going to help them to do? We're going to help them to get their investment back as quickly as they can, right? So you see the doctor up there. We've helped him find 3. We've helped the nurse. I think she's changed her hairstyle. We helped her find 3. and the teacher, we've helped find 3. Now, this is a little building block, okay? I guess I like that expression because I used to build houses and put brick on the front. And I just love the brick. We actually helped tear down the old Adams Hotel in downtown Phoenix and bought all of the used brick that came out of that thing and built houses with it. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, we did. And so we had some great looking houses with a lot of history to it. Well, those were building blocks. These are building blocks. That little building block right there is going to create for you about $500 worth of residual income. Money that just keeps coming month after month. Now, that's not a big deal. The $500 is, but how much effort did it take to do that? Well, it depends on how you look at how much effort you have to spend. Okay? $500. But let's start from there, and let's start building those channels. Let's keep going. Here we're going to go out so that we're building a ways. That little thing right there is going to give you about $1,500 a month. That's more than $1,000. What would you do at $1,500? It starts to get interesting already. Well, let's go a little further. Now you're looking at about $3,000 a month. Except for some of the very old people. I don't mean it that way. Some of the people who have been at Home Depot for a long time. Sorry, I've been there a long time. There's hardly anybody at Home Depot that makes $36,000 a year. Wow. Some of the managers, and some of them don't make that much money. You'd be surprised. So let's go a little bit further.
And it's not residual.
And it's not residual, it's temporary income. So we go a little bit further. This is worth about $5,000. How long could you make your pipeline? Can you take it from Arizona to Alaska? Where can you take it? In this case, run it around the country. Whatever it is you need to do. That's 24 households in length. What if it was 50? What if it was 100? What if it was 200? What could your income be? And at what point do you, back here, Jennifer, become invisible to this whole thing that's going on? I don't think it takes that long. Okay, here are some of the kits, and this is an old slide. There's a kit up at the top there. It's got all of the products in it. I think it was about $1,200. The 2 kits below it have half the products. One of them, the products from the inside out, one from the outside in. Those are about $600. Then the ones down there below are an essential kit, and they just include some selected kind of things. I look at this a little bit as if you were opening a business. And now I realize that we're not inventorying anything, so this isn't a really exact example. But if you're going to open a hardware store, would you want to just put stuff on one aisle and leave all the rest empty? Or would you want to put stuff on half the aisles and leave the rest empty? Or would you want to put it on all the aisles? Now, in this case, what you're really putting on the aisles is not putting on the aisles, it's putting it in your mind, okay? When you know about all of those things, instead of half or instead of just a little bit, you've got your store open right here because your whole business is right here. It's in your attitude. So there's some of the kits. I threw this slide in just because it's kind of funny, because this was done by Robert Kiyosaki, probably the most read economics writer of our time. Wrote the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He wanted to see where people were getting their money. You know, what was happening to people? Why weren't people doing better? That red side over there is red for a reason, because there's 95% of the population on that side fighting for 5% of the money in the economy. And there's where the employees are, and there's where the self-employed are. I guess it was my ego, I always thought self-employed was a big deal. All I meant is I worked 14 hours a day instead of 8 or whatever. But if I wasn't there running the company wasn't going to work. That's all it came down to. Now, that's the way Fred had done it. That's the way I did it. I didn't know any better. What we're doing with this program is we're taking people off of that red side and moving them to the blue side, where they're a true business owner, where they can actually create that permanent income over on the blue side, where 5% of the people are sharing 95% of the money. Now, honestly, if I was fighting for something, I'd rather it be for 95% than for 5%. I mean, wouldn't you? Okay. And another way to look at it is the left side is the 45-year plan. Get out of school, work for 45 years, try to retire, realize you can't, or you're going to retire on like about that much. Yeah. Or you can do the right side over here, and depending on how far you want to build your channels, 2 to 5 year program, less than going to college. I managed to squeeze 4 years into 4.5, but and maybe that's what I'll do here. But you know what? If I could squeeze it into 2, yeah, that'd be exciting. So we're actually back now to what would you do with that $500? What would you do with that $1,000, or the $1,500, or the $3,000, or the $5,000? You see, now I got to admit, when I first saw this slide, I'm thinking, well, so what? Because honestly, I've had all of that stuff. Okay, I've never been to Paris, but other than that, it's just like, well, that's no big deal. And so it took me a while, even though I could see the opportunity here, it took me a while to figure out that there were actually some things that my heart wanted. Okay, probably a weird way for you to hear it, but some things that my heart wanted. And they're not on that page, and honestly, I've never heard anybody else have the same desires, the same dreams, but you know what? They're my dreams. Just like what your heart wants is your dreams. You may not want a boat. You may want to have something where you get to be together with your grandkids whenever you want to, have the money to fly and do and whatever. Whatever it is you want, is it worth working for? Is it worth working to get away from the job that you've got? Not that you got a bad job, but and I'm going to turn this over to Jennifer in just a minute here. Jennifer works at a place where she's in charge of about 250 nurses. Big hospital, Children's Hospital in Mesa, in charge of 250. Now, you know what could happen, and I know she knows it, and I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but, if something screwball happens at that place, and they have to look for a scapegoat, okay, Jennifer could be one of them they look at. Now, if that happens, yeah, because you got a lot of weight on your shoulders. If that happens, all of a sudden, no Jennifer income, right? Now, Jennifer's got lots of other talents, and I don't mean it that way, but you don't think about your job as being that temporary. And it doesn't matter really what your job is. When something fouls up, they're always looking for somebody else to blame than themselves, and that usually says, okay, my job's gone. But think about that. What would you do with it? Okay? Have a couple of things. Am I over?
Yeah, you're kind of over.
Yeah.
But, now that Jennifer's depressed.
Yeah.
No.
No. Well, one more thing. I want you to realize that what you've been looking at here is a part of a huge, huge industry. Okay? $180 billion a year industry. Now, put that in perspective. The NFL, you've heard of the NFL, right? Okay? $8 billion. You've heard of the entertainment industry? $18 billion. Here we're talking about $180 billion. There's 100 million people on the planet who are involved in some kind of marketing of some sort that relates perhaps a little bit to this. But you know what's even better? There are more professional network marketers who are millionaires than any other avocation in the world. Professional network marketers. Now, most people don't know that. They don't have any idea. So it's kind of time to give it to Jennifer and hear her talk me out of her the story I said. Anyway, Jennifer's a neat lady. She really has helped a lot of people, and I'm excited about knowing her. And here's Jennifer Allen.
Well, thanks, Steve. Yeah, you did really kind of touch on why I look at this opportunity as my vehicle to get me where I want to go. I too look at the list of, oh, the big boat, the this, the that, what would I do? And that's a great future that I look at. But really, just as you identified, I spend my time not only, yes, carrying that weight of what if, but I spend my time motivating people to do the right thing. And I'm like, why couldn't I take part of that skill set and motivate people to do this as the right thing? Because it really is kind of far reaching and bigger than the help of, people come to the hospital and just most of the time it's at a really bad part of their life. And they just rely on us to fix it. Well, really what our opportunity is in the preventive health. That's really where life is going for all of us in healthcare. When you talked about the number of doctors that are involved in, their income plans are changing and things like that. It's just not in the hospital where all of this care is going to happen. And so it is really an opportunity to kind of dig into some of that preventive health. Why couldn't I help market for that and change my own financial future, but then stay connected to what's important to me. My whole career has been in healthcare, and I enjoy that part of truly helping people and helping them find their path. So those types of things are a real draw for me in the business. And then that's kind of the cohesive part where that health and wealth connect. And so I enjoy using the products. I found great benefit of them. I think recently what has been a big sell for me, so my dad, not real sure what his daughter's doing right now with this whole business, but he started using products. And it's the first time ever in several channel marketing opportunities like this where he's actually used the products. And he will be 81 next month, and he has started using his meal replacement every day. And he's starting to feel more energy. He's starting to lose less weight, those types of things. And so that's really been, spent the weekend with him and kind of talking through, and he got his second bag. So I'm like, okay, now we're, now we've repeated. So I'm a little bit excited about that he can see the benefits of those. And then some joy that has come back in my life, just being surrounded by people that are dreamers. And that's another positive aspect that people have the opportunity within a business like this, is really getting around some people that are willing to do the tough work, but know that there's a different life out there than just the 45-year plan.
Well, Jennifer, we've got to appreciate that, and it's so well said. And with your experience in the healthcare industry, it just seems like maybe the perfect opportunity for you to help a lot of other people in, like you said, a preventative kind of a way to keep, instead of waiting until they get sick or too sick, give them a chance to live their dreams.
Right.
So, very exciting. And we're excited that you're excited. What's fun about this business are the people that we get to work with and that we get to know. They're very, very special people. And we have a special treat tonight because we have Gold Executive Rob Terrell with us in this meeting. And I want to open it up and let Rob speak to us all. Rob, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that was awesome. I was sitting back enjoying the plan. I had a full day today because I started at about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and I actually had 5 different meetings. This will be my 6th that I'm involved with, and that's because I'm really, really excited about what Steve and Jennifer talked to you about, and I'm excited about the opportunity to change some things for people. You know, there's a lot of things that you can talk about when you start talking about, you know, what it is that you really want in life. You know, you could just talk about, for my wife and I, we talk a lot about financial security because we're reaching that point where all of a sudden that's the main thing on the horizon, is having the financial security to be able to do, you know, what we want to do as we reach the end of, if you will, our working careers, and go into the golden years when we just hang out with our grandkids and antagonize their parents. You know, for all my life, I was told that, you know, that I was told the joke that I didn't know it was really funny, but the joke was, you know, why do grandparents and grandkids get along so well? And the reason is because they have a common enemy. And now I understand that I have grandkids. But, you know, just thinking about, I see that Disneyland thing in the middle there, and we've told our grandkids, at least the ones that are at the age where they can go, that Grandma and Grandpa are taking them to Disneyland next year, and Mom and Dad don't get to come. And now we do, yeah, and now we do plan on taking some support because we question our ability to keep up with all the little urchins, but we are going to take some support in on that. But, you know, I think about some of the things that we're looking at, and, you know, it's different because I showed some plans today. I showed this business concept to some people today. They're in a different phase of their life. They're younger. They're looking at different things. The neat thing about it is that you don't have to forfeit what you're doing. You know, you can continue on with your career. I get people all the time. They say, "Well, but I love what I do." That's great. You don't have to give it up. And what I found, and I can today we talked about it. So many of the different people that I've known that have been a part of and are a part of this concept, and what you find is that every one of their careers have been enhanced because of their involvement in this concept and learning the principles. Because what we teach is we teach the principles of success. Now, it's always nice to have 1,500 or 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000. 5,000 is really nice when you have that as a residual check coming in. And it's really cool when you get it and you're like, well, I don't have any debt, so we really don't have to pay anything. Let's just, I guess we put it into a savings account, or, you know, we're looking at some different investments, and that gets really, really exciting. And it doesn't matter what age you are. But I will tell you that everybody's dream's different based on where they're going. And Steve really hit on that. And I think that's really good, is that, you know, people's dreams are different, but this vehicle will get you there. And I always laugh because I hear so many people and they tell me, well, it's just not something I want to do. You know, I laugh at them because tell me what it is that you're doing now is just exactly what it is that you want to do. I mean, all careers have things in them that we just don't want to do. But I was told something a long time ago, and I've always used it, and that is that, you know, how many of you own a drill? You know, I own a drill, but I'll tell you what, I'll make you a bet right now, if you own a drill, that when you bought it, that's not what you wanted. You didn't buy the drill because you wanted a drill. You didn't take it home from the store and put it up on the mantle and say, look at my drill. You know, the reason that you bought a drill was because you wanted a hole, or you wanted to turn some screws, okay? And so you bought the vehicle that would provide you that task. And so what you have to do right now is you have to look at what it is that you really want, and then ask yourself the question, do you have the vehicle that can give it to you? Because if not, you maybe need to get a drill because you want a hole. And I will tell you looking at some of these pictures that are still on the thing there of dreams and different things, that kind of cars or boats or ranches or vacations or whatever it is, you know what? You need a vehicle that will give you the things that you want. And what you saw tonight is exactly that. And whether you're involved with this or you're looking at it for the first time, it doesn't matter. What you saw tonight will give you the things that you want. But it's not going to come without some effort. You got to get back with the person that invited you. You got to dig into it. I know when I saw this the first time, I wanted nothing to do with it. And then that night I laid in my bed and I looked up at the ceiling and I said, what if it works? What if it works? What if this could be the way that we could take control of our future and our finances? And because of that, it forced me to dig into the facts. And that's what I challenge you to do. Dig into the facts, get the information. The person that invited you, the person that you're working with in this can get those to you. But you know what? I say right now, get the lead out. Get the lead out. Get moving. You know, there's no time more than like the present to make a decision to do something positive for your future. We've got some great opportunities coming up meetings-wise that you can expose yourself to some highly, highly successful people, that you can get the inside track on what is it going to take. We've got some promotions you could win and come to Mexico, all expenses paid. That's still on the table. For many of you, you could do that. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. So I say get the facts, get on with it, get the lead out, let's make something happen, you know, and grab a hold of the person that invited you to this, because I promise you, you'll end up being best of friends if you decide to build this, and it'll be a very highly profitable relationship. So hang on tight, guys. We're going to make this happen. It's good to be with you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Hey, one thing I do at the end, I don't know if Rob has time to stay on, but we always take about 5 minutes at the end, Rob, and we stop our recording, which I will do.